The latest Pompey news, updates every day from the Pompey Sound news desk.
REAGAN Poole is asked if the Middlesbrough performance could trigger a return to home domination for Pompey.
I think so. It's been quite disappointing, really, how our home form was so good last year and we haven't followed it into this season. Hopefully, this is a turning point. As I said, we believe we can beat anyone here. We did last year, and we've certainly shown today why this place is where we pick up most of our 3 points. So we need to just treat every game as we did today, and we'll be completely fine.
Someone once said the only thing that's truly predictable in football is its unpredictability. And when it comes to Pompey's home form, there you've got it in one. Because last season, I think the whole division was aware of the fact that Fratton Park was somewhere you could go and expect to get beat. Beat by the team and beat by the crowd. Away, however, we could hardly buy a goal. We could hardly buy a point. And then, for the first 8 games of the season, that form was completely reversed. For no apparent reason. OK, there'd been a bit of an overhaul of the squad, but you've got the same backroom staff who are drilling the same things into the players during training. You can only assume that the changes meant that you had a marginally better player or players, set of players, playing the same system. So there were no great marked changes there, and yet you had this absolute upside downness of our home form versus our away form. So obviously everybody connected with Pompey is anxious that the Middlesbrough result and the performance as well, which was professional as well as passionate, is going to trigger a return to Fortress Fratton. And there's 2 reasons for this. One, the main reason is, of course, we want to get as many points on the board as we can. So let's keep doing well away, and my dog agrees with me, and start winning at home as we were the season before. It's slightly selfish. The second reason is that more of us get to see Pompey at Fratton Park than those who are lucky enough and wonderful enough and committed enough to travel to the away games. And everybody who watches Pompey and supports Pompey wants to see them winning. So if they're winning all their games or most of their games at Fratton Park, then that is slightly more pleasurable for the 16,000 odd faithful who can't make it to the away games. But we don't care. A win's a win. We don't mind if it's away, we don't mind if it's at home, but we really would like to be the dominant force at Fratton Park that we were last season. How to achieve that? Well, that's why John Messino is one of the most revered new young managers in all 4 divisions. So if anyone can fix it, he can. John Messino is saying he's very pleased with Josh Knight, but there's work to be done.
We're used to seeing those sort of performances from REAGAN. Josh, we have to take our hats off to him for, first off, being able to nearly complete 3 90 minutes in a week. He really tired in that Ipswich game, but it's 3 starts and improving in every game as well. It's just ironing out some of the creases in his game. We brought Josh in for a reason, and he's showing those promising signs. He looks excellent on the ball, but defensively he needs to keep improving on what he's doing. The partnership has been really impressive, particularly with REAGAN moving over to the other side as well and doing that so well. We need it. We're a side who are progressing hopefully, but we are going to face sides who are going to have shots and pressure. When the ball is going into wide areas and cutbacks, we are going to have to throw bodies on the line. We have to make sure we make it hard for the ball to end up in the back of the net. The lads there are doing it well.
Yeah, everyone has to remember, but not say it too often, and say it softly when you say it, if you have to say it. But we've effectively got, in goal, a goalkeeper who, when he arrived, was more or less our 4th choice, if you like. After Nicholas Schmidt, Ben Killip, we thought. Jordan Archer, of course, still in the building, if not signed up for the squad. And then you had Joseph John Bursick. Now, in a situation like that, it's absolutely essential that the defence is solid. The back 4 need the protection of the 1 or 2 holding midfield players, but the goalkeeper always needs the protection of his defence, and in particular, I suppose, his 2 central defenders in front of him. Now, he's been playing more than okay for 4th choice. He's not any longer our 4th choice, but when Schmidt comes back, of course, he will get the gloves. So we have a lad in goal who can look forward to plenty of time on the bench once Smith is back and hopefully doesn't injure himself again. But at the moment, it's Bursic, and the back four needs to be as watertight as possible, which may be part of the reason why John Messino is saying, look, Knight is fantastic on the ball and coming forward and joining in at set pieces because he's a towering lad. But his main job, we must remember, is defending. We know that REAGAN Poole, week in, week out, whichever of the two centre-half positions he's asked to play in, he is magnificent. He's cultured, he's stylish, he's classy, he's uncompromising as well. And tactically, which is such an important part of being a centre-half, tactically, he's very astute. John Messino is saying simply that he wants, hopes, maybe expects the same from Josh Knight. Names are very important in football. You have to get the pronunciation of people's names right, and you have to know how to use the name, and you have to know when to use or not to use a nickname. So it's a serious business, but we can also have a little bit of fun with it.
Pompey Sound have been attempting to establish the correct pronunciation of the name of our South Korean wonderkid on loan from Spurs. In addition, we need to know for purposes of interviewing the player whether his Korean equivalent of a surname is Yang or Min Hae-yuk, as we would not like to refer to him by his surname in case that's impolite. Such as, for example, you wouldn't say to Marlon Pak, well Pak, what did you think of that game? You'd say, well Marlon. He has the name Yang printed on his shirt, which leads us to suspect that his familiar name is Min Hae-yuk, and his family name is Yang. However, we've seen him referred to elsewhere as Yang, in a way that suggests that some people think it's his familiar name, or maybe they're simply more comfortable pronouncing Yang that means Hok, which is no excuse if you're a proper journalist. Pompey Sound contacted the South Korean Cultural Center, and they promised to ring back. We've also contacted the Korean Embassy, but they have a 2-hour lunch break, and no one mans the phone. We contacted the Japanese Korean restaurant nearest the studios, and they felt unable to advise us.
Yes, we also tried to contact the other Korean restaurant that's quite near us, and they're closed all day. No, they're open, not open until 5 o'clock, and we needed to get this piece to bed before then. Since we actually taped that piece, In Hong rang from the South Korean Cultural Center, brilliant, and he advised this. He knew the player well and very proud of him. He said Yang is his family name. And we guessed that might be the case because that's what's on his shirt, and he would know. What do you want on your shirt? That we would say to him, and assuming that the culture is similar in that you have your surname, your second name, your family name on your shirt, then he went with Yang. So if you're on friendly terms with him, and we're hoping to interview him, we will be saying, hi Min Hyuk, thank you very much indeed for your time, because that's the same as saying, hi Marlon, thank you for your time. Whatever, hi REAGAN, thank you very much, So that's interesting. His surname is Yang. So now, we get into the other important part of pronouncing the names of some of our new players. We had to spend a little bit of time getting used to Segacic, and Kuznetsky is still a bit of a challenge. We think we've got it right, but we'll only know once he puts everybody right on it. Shaughnessy, there's been debate about that. There are still people who call him Shaughnessy, but Shaughnessy, it seems, with a sort of a sound that you don't get quite in English. It's not Shaughnessy, it's Shaughnessy, and he gets called Shochs, of course, by John Messino, who in the past, when he was in his playing days, was occasionally referred to as Moose, which he would love. It's a great nickname, much better than Mouse, which he would not like. He has such presence, nobody would dare. But then it brings us to the whole business of players' names and what they call each other. Because if you've got a nickname or a shortening of your name, then that suggests something about your place within the group, that they think you are worthy of having some kind of a nickname, such as we've noticed that Adrian Segacic is now referred to by John Messino as Segs. And there's no problem with that. We know exactly who he's talking about. It's an Aussie thing, I would imagine. He's been called Segs plenty of times down under, and so we're getting on top of that. Josh Murphy is Murphs from time to time. John Swift is no problem there. No problem there. He's Swifty, isn't he? Chaplin, I think, sometimes gets referred to tentatively as Chappers. Lang is Langy. Colby Bishop, it doesn't really work. I think you could call him Bish, but that doesn't sound right, does it? So, also, there's a certain amount of reverence with him, so he's Colby. There's a certain amount of reverence, of course, with Marlon Pack. Nobody's going to call him Pack. I'm not even going to pronounce it. What they could call him, Pax? No, he's Marlon, and he deserves to have like Colby. He deserves to have his first name as being his nickname. You can't do much with Andre Dozel. Dozers? No, it wouldn't work. And you can't do much with Andre, can you? So he's Andre. Josh Knight. Now, this is an interesting one because there will be a temptation to call him Knightsy, but because of our heritage goalkeeper, the great man, who's arguably worthy of a statue, Alan Knight, is Knightsy, and there's only one Knightsy. So I'm afraid Josh Knight is unlikely to be referred to as Knightsy. Shaughnessy, as discussed, is Shochs. Bursick is going to be called Joe, I suspect. There's not much you can do with Burse. And Regan Poole, again, there's nothing you can do with Regan Poole. Reegs? No. Pooley? Shut up. Pools? Sounds like something the dog leaves behind in the kitchen. So, names. It's Mr. Yang and it's Min Hyuk. And will he get called Yangzi from time to time? Time will tell.